You think you know what power looks like. You think it's the suit I'm wearing or the view from this floor or the way the market moves when I sign a piece of paper. You have no idea. Real power isn't about money. Real power is about what you can do when someone tries to rip your heart out of your chest and stomp on it. Real power is the ability to turn the world upside down to find the thing that matters most. I need you to listen to me very carefully. I need you to look at my face. You see this shaking? Do you see the way my hands are trembling? I am not a person who shakes. I am a person who makes other people shake. But 24 hours ago, 24 hours ago, I was sitting in a boardroom in Tokyo. It was silent. Glass walls. The kind of silence that costs $1,000 a minute. I was bored. I was thinking about quarterly projections. I was thinking about market shares. And then my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. I almost flipped it over to focus on the merger on the screen in front of me. But it was Facetime. And it was my daughter. She never calls me during meetings. She knows the rules. She knows my schedule better than I do sometimes. So I answered. I didn't care about the board members staring at me. I answered, and I saw her face. It wasn't the face of my little girl. It was a mask of terror. She was in a corner, pressed against the drywall, the camera shaking so hard the image was blurring. She was whispering, "Mom, Mom, please." I could hear the tears in her throat. She said, "Stepmom's friends. 9 men, they're hurting me, please." 9 men. My blood turned to ice. It didn't freeze. It vanished. I stood up. I opened my mouth to scream her name, to tell her to run, but then the phone jerked. The camera spun wildly. I saw the ceiling. I saw a hand. A heavy, thick hand with dirt under the fingernails. And then I saw him. Alcohol-glazed eyes. Red rims. A smirk that made my stomach rot. He brought the phone right up to his face. I could see the pores on his nose. He laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a wet, cruel sound. And he said it. He looked right at me thousands of miles away, and he said, "Your little girl is ours tonight. You're thousands of miles away. You can't do a damn thing." And then the screen went black. That silence, that terrible, suffocating silence in the boardroom returned. But I wasn't there anymore. I was in hell. If you're already feeling your heart drop for this mother, don't scroll away. Subscribe now, because if this happened to your child and no one cared enough to listen, you'd wish people had clicked that button. I didn't say a word to the board. I didn't excuse myself. I threw the chair backward. It hit the glass. I didn't care. I walked out. My executive assistant, Sarah, she was running after me, holding a tablet, asking about the schedule. I looked at her, and she stopped. She saw it in my eyes. The animal. The predator. I wasn't a CEO anymore. I wasn't a businesswoman. I was a mother with a target. I pulled out my other phone. Not the work phone. The burner. The one I keep for the life I left behind and the life I built to protect myself. I made 3 calls. First call, my director of security, a man who used to topple governments for a living. I didn't say hello. I said, "Code black. Extraction. My daughter is priority 1. She is in the house. There are 9 hostiles. I want them alive, but only barely." Second call, the senator, the one whose campaign I funded when nobody else would. I told him, "I'm calling in the favor. I need the airspace cleared. I need law enforcement on standby, but they do not engage. This is mine." Third call, a friend in Silicon Valley, a man who owns half the satellites orbiting this planet. I said, "Find the signal. I don't care about privacy laws. I don't care about warrants. Find the phone. Find the men. Give me names. Give me faces. Give me everything. You see, they thought I was just a busy woman. They thought I was some distant, check-writing mother who left her kid with a stepmom to go make money. They didn't realize who I am. They didn't realize that the money is just a tool. They didn't know about the people I know. I was on the jet in 18 minutes. As the engines screamed, as we climbed into the sky, the information started coming in. My legal team sent the files. I sat there, sipping water that tasted like ash, reading about the woman I trusted. The stepmom. God, the guilt. It hits you harder than the fear. I read the file. Manipulation. 2 prior marriages ended in protective orders. Restraining orders. Criminal acquaintances. Fraud. And there, buried in the text messages, my team recovered my daughter. My baby had reported it. She had told a counselor. She had hinted at it to me. Mom, I don't like it there. Mom, she has weird friends. And what did I do? I bought her a new iPad. I told her to give it time. I told her relationships are hard. I didn't listen. I was too busy building an empire to secure her future that I forgot to secure her present. 9 men in the house. And she called me. She called me and I wasn't there. If you're a parent or even just someone who knows what regret feels like, hit subscribe. Stories like this remind us why we must never ignore the signs. And if you choose not to subscribe, at least tell us why in the comments. Don't stay silent. The flight was 6 hours. 6 hours of hell. I didn't sleep. I didn't blink. I sat in the leather chair, staring at the digital map on the monitor. My security team briefed me. We have them, ma'am. Hackers had triangulated the signals. 9 phones. They thought they were clever. They thought they could hurt a child and just walk away. My team recovered the deleted messages. I saw the group chat. I saw the pictures they shared. I saw the things they planned to do. I threw up. I went to the bathroom on the jet, locked the door, and threw up until there was nothing left. Then I looked in the mirror. I wiped my mouth. I fixed my hair. And I made a vow. I looked at my own reflection, and I whispered, "No one touches my child," and walks away. No one. When I walked out of that bathroom, I wasn't crying anymore. Tears are for people who are helpless. I wasn't helpless. I was dangerous. We landed. The sun was setting. The sky was bleeding red, just like I wanted them to. The locations were identified. They had split up. Cockroaches scatter when the light comes on. 3 of them were still at the stepmom's house. 4 were at a luxury bachelor suite downtown, paid for with my money, no doubt. 2 were at a private club, a place that requires a membership card that costs more than a car. They thought they were safe. They thought the distance protected them. I divided my forces. Team Alpha to the house. Team Bravo to the suite. Team Charlie to the club. I had a retired intelligence handler running point. He owes me his career. He looked at me and asked, "Rules of engagement?" I looked at him. I didn't blink. Secure the child. Then secure the trash. No police. Not yet. I want to look them in the eye. If you're still watching, don't just watch silently. Subscribe, because justice like this is rare, and people who stay unengaged usually regret it when the truth drops later. And if you refuse to subscribe, type your reason in the comments so we can all understand why. I stayed in the command van. I watched the body cam footage from Team Alpha. I saw them breach the door. I saw the flashbangs. I saw the men at the house, the stepmom's friends, scramble like rats. I saw my head of security, a man the size of a mountain, kick a door off its hinges. And then I heard her voice. "Mom." They brought her out. She was wrapped in a blanket. She was shaking, but she was alive. Physically, she was safe. Mentally, spiritually, that was another story. But the men, we had them. All of them. The ones at the hotel were pulled out of their beds. The ones at the club were dragged out the back exit, hooded and zip-tied before they could finish their whiskey. I didn't send them to jail. Jail is where you go when you break the law. These men didn't just break the law, they broke my heart. They broke the sanctuary of a child. So I had them taken to a private estate I own, a lakeside property. It used to be a retreat. Tonight, it was a courtroom. It has a basement, soundproofed, concrete, cold. I arrived in a black SUV. The gravel crunched under the tires. It was the only sound in the world. I stepped out. My heels clicked on the pavement. Click, 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 like a countdown. I walked down the stairs. The air got colder. The smell of damp earth and fear. They were there. 9 chairs, arranged in a circle. All 9 men, strapped down. They were shouting at first, demanding lawyers, demanding phone calls. "Do you know who I am?" one of them yelled. Then I walked in, and the room went dead silent. They knew. In that split second, looking at me, they realized the mistake they had made. They realized that the busy mom thousands of miles away was actually the monster in the room with them. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I pulled up a chair and sat in the middle of the circle. I looked at the first man, the one who had held the phone, the one who had smirked. He wasn't smirking now. He was sweating. He was trembling. Who planned it? I asked. My voice was soft. A whisper. He stuttered. It was just a joke. We were just hanging out. I signaled my security chief. He played the recording. The video they had deleted. The video of them mocking her, terrifying her. A joke. I asked. I moved to the next man. Why were you there? She invited us, he cried. The stepmom. She said it was fine. She said you wouldn't care. She said I wouldn't care. I repeated. The words tasted like bile. I went down the line. I laid out the evidence on their laps. Printed transcripts of their group chats. Photos of the payments the stepmom had sent them. One of them broke. A younger one. He started sobbing. She told us you were too busy. She said you'd never believe your daughter because she's trouble. She said if we scared her enough, you'd just send her to boarding school and the stepmom would get the house. A crack formed in my chest. A literal physical pain. It wasn't just cruelty. It was a strategy. She wanted my daughter gone so she could have my life. She used these men as weapons to traumatize a child for real estate. If your blood is boiling right now, don't just sit there, subscribe. And if you're choosing not to subscribe, at least comment why. Silence at moments like this says more than you think. My phone rang. It was the safe house nearby. It was my daughter. I picked up. Baby, are you okay? Her voice was weak, but steady. Mom, I know you have them. I do, I said. It's over. I want to see them, she said. I hesitated. No, sweetie, you don't need to see this. I need to, she insisted. They stole my safety. They made me feel small. I want to see them be small. I want to take it back. I couldn't say no. She was right. She needed to know the monsters weren't under the bed anymore. They were just men. Pathetic, weak men tied to chairs. I set up the video link. I turned the iPad around so they could see her face on the screen. Look at her. I commanded. They couldn't. They looked at the floor. They looked at the walls. Look at her. I screamed. It was the first time I raised my voice. The sound bounced off the concrete walls like a gunshot. They looked. My daughter, my brave, beautiful girl, stared right into the lens. She didn't cry. She said, "You are nothing. You are small. And my mother is going to make sure everyone knows it." She looked at me. "Mom, make them understand." And I did. I didn't touch them. I didn't have to. Physical pain fades. Bruises heal. But I wanted scars that would last forever. I wanted to dismantle them. I opened my laptop. Gentlemen, I said, let me introduce you to the rest of your lives. For the first man, the banker, I just sent your entire hard drive to the SEC, every embezzled cent. You're not just fired, you're going to federal prison for 20 years. For the second man, the family man, I just emailed your wife. The videos, the texts, all of it. She's already packing her bags. For the third man, the influencer, I just released the unedited footage of what you did tonight to your 3 million followers. Watch your count drop to 0 in real time. I went down the line. I deployed high-level political pressure. I blacklisted them from every corporation in the Fortune 500. I seized assets through legal maneuvers they wouldn't understand until they were homeless. I destroyed their credit. I exposed their secrets. I systematically, clinically, and brutally ruined their lives. They cried. They begged. They offered money. I have more money than God. I told them, I don't want your money. I want your future. My daughter watched. She watched them crumble. She watched the monsters turn into dust. But there was one person missing. The architect. The source of the rot. Bring her in, I said into my radio. The heavy steel door opened. 2 of my guards dragged her in. The stepmom. She was dressed up. She looked like she had been ready for a party. But now, her mascara was running. She was fighting, kicking, screaming, let me go. Do you know who I am? They threw her into the center of the circle. She looked up and saw me. And for the first time in years, she stopped acting. She tried to smile. That sick, manipulative smile. Oh, thank God you're here, she gasped. These men, they broke in. I tried to stop them. I was so scared for her. I didn't say a word. I just turned the laptop screen toward her. The group chat. Her messages. She's home alone. Come over. Scare the brat. Make sure she never wants to come back. Her face went pale. The lie died in her throat. My daughter spoke from the screen. Why? Just one word. Why? The stepmom looked at the camera. The mask fell off completely. Her face twisted into something ugly. Pure envy. Because you have everything, she screamed at the screen. You have her money. You have her attention. You're a spoiled little brat. And I wanted you gone. I wanted her to look at me the way she looks at you. Silence. I stood up. I walked over to her. I leaned down until I was an inch from her face. You wanted to hurt her, I whispered. You wanted to break the bond between a mother and her child. You wanted my attention? You have it. You have my full, undivided attention. I turned to the screen. Baby, what do you want me to do? It was her choice. It had to be. My daughter took a deep breath. She looked at the woman who had tormented her. I don't want her dead, my daughter said. That's too easy. I want her to live. I want her to live and lose everything she tried to take from me. I want her to have nothing. I nodded. Done. The legal destruction was instant. I filed for immediate divorce on behalf of her father, my ex, who I had already briefed, and who was currently thanking God I was handling this. I stripped her of every asset she had access to. The prenup held, but I went further. I sued her for emotional distress, for conspiracy, for endangerment. I ensured she would be forced to relocate. I obtained a permanent no-contact order. I blacklisted her socially. Every country club, every charity gala, every high society circle she desperate clawed her way into, I burned the bridge. She collapsed on the floor, sobbing, realizing that her life of luxury was over. She would be working minimum wage, looking over her shoulder, forever known as the woman who sold a child to predators. If you made it this far, subscribe right now. Don't be the person who feels all this emotion and walks away pretending you didn't care. And if you still refuse, go to the comments and explain why you can watch a mother fight for her child and still not tap that button. It's been 6 months now. My daughter is in therapy. She's taking Krav Maga. She's strong. She's making new friends. Last week, she laughed. A real laugh. Not a forced one. We went back to that lakeside estate yesterday. Just the two of us. We stood by the water. The sun was shining. She looked at me and said, "This is where I stopped being afraid." I held her hand. It wasn't shaking anymore. And this is where they learned who your mother is. The men, gone, disappeared from public life. Shadows. The stepmom, she's living in a studio apartment 3 states away, terrified every time a car slows down outside her window. She knows I'm watching. She knows I never stop watching. They didn't realize who I was. They didn't realize the people I knew. But they learned. Oh, God, they learned. Don't mess with my daughter, because I will burn the world down to keep her warm. Before you scroll, I want to ask you something. If you were in my shoes, if your child called you crying, scared, begging for help, would you have fought the way I did? Would you have crossed any line necessary to get them back? Tell me in the comments. I'm genuinely asking because a lot of people talk about protecting their kids, but when the moment comes, only a few truly stand up. Do you think I went too far? Or do you think I did exactly what any real mother should do when the world turns against her child? I want to hear your thoughts. Don't stay silent. Subscribe. Share this. And hug your kids tight tonight. You never know who is watching.